Hello comic and art fans, here's Earl Grey, cheers. It's due time to continue my series of videos about fine art artists like Philip Guston. Actually, I wanted to do a video again about 3 artists, but somehow Philip Guston is 3 different artists at least rolled into one. So it's all just Philip Guston today. Opapo requested it under my video with my collection of fine art books, and he pointed out that he did comic strip as well, poor Richard. As Bill Crabtree pointed out that he was inspired by Herriman and Rembrandt, which is absolutely right. And I think there were some other mentions or requests for Philip Guston as well. And I think this is pretty peculiar because, I mean, I love Philip Guston, but he's not the most famous painter around, I think. Maybe it's really this comic angle that interests comic fans a lot, but I think it's some other qualities as well that are very important and make this guy here so special. Here it's quoted that one of his first influences was George Herriman, the creator of the comic strip Crazy Cat, and so on. And you will see that the elementary language, picture language, imagery of Herriman echoed somehow in the even more stripped down world of Philip Guston. We have him in his younger days. And there's some event that is pretty, I think, important for a part of his imagery. At the time, Guston supported himself working odd jobs in an atmosphere when unionist and anti-unionist sentiments struggled for power. As Guston remembered it, the police department had what they called the Red Squad, the main purpose of which was to break up any attempts at unionizing. Remember, this was 1932, 1933. I was working in a factory and became involved in a strike. The KKK helped in strike breaking, so I did a whole series of paintings on the KKK. In fact, I had a show of them in a bookshop in Hollywood, where I was working at that time. Some members of the Klan walked in, took the paintings off the wall and slashed them. 2 were mutilated. This was the beginning. So, he struggled, obviously, a long time with the Klan. And the whole mindset behind that. So no wonder that these Klan people appeared pretty early in his paintings and drawings, like in this one here. And then he tried several art styles. I'd say this is more Picasso than Guston. And this reminds me, as a comic freak, of the later Lorenzo Mattotti. Even this is from 1936. Drawing for Bombardment, so it's a study for this remarkable painting. You see the center of the explosion there, and pushing everything and everyone on that painting to the side. Again, Lorenzo Mattotti before Lorenzo Mattotti. However, he tried different styles and approaches to create painting, and nothing wrong with it. But if you would show this painting, for an instance, to someone, I doubt that you would get the answer, oh, this is clearly a Philip Guston. So, a lot of influences he tried, like different clothes, what suits him, which style suits him. But this is a remarkable painting, Martial Memory, where these kids in an armistice, this strange armor. It's not without humor, but still a pretty sad painting. And you have a pretty similar and even stronger painting here. If this be not I hope you can see this. This is really spectacular. Even for me, as a West German guy, this looks like social realism of East European art, and in particular of the former East German painters. They took refuge in this kind of pseudo-realistic style, but later on, I mean, this painting is from 1945, and they did this with some grandezza, as if they have discovered a new art style or something. But Philip Guston and a lot of other painters did this as well before, using surrealism, expressionism, and the whole heritage of the painting, the history of painting up to that point, for a new message, if you will, or a new compositions. I mean, it's hard to tell what this painting here is all about, with this boy and the paper bag on his head. The girl there with the crown, that's the artist's daughter, Musa. But eventually I can't tell you what this painting is all about. But that's... Paintings sometimes have to have a mystery and that they can't be explained. And if you could replace them with a short text or so, it's not... it's hard to explain why you have to paint it, and then you can write the text. And here we have a big gap, or a big development in the career and in the paintings of Philip Guston. And this painting, Porch number 2 here, is clearly, even though it has its abstractions, it's clearly something with a clear theme and people in it, and some hinting at crucifixions or whatnot. It's hard to tell what they're actually doing there, but at least there are people there. And then we have this change here to more or less pure abstractions. Even the title, The Tormentors, here from 1947 to 1948, tells us different, so that we look for some tormentors there, and we can easily think about a scene and the colors hint in that direction, but it's not there eventually. So now we go into the phase here of abstraction, of drawings, that sometimes, like this little drawing called Ischia, have some relation to the outside world here. And that's called Ischia as well. So we see a little view of the city there. But the real theme here are the lines and how he does them there. So the picture here on the left is called Composition in Grays, Whites and Pinks. So, yeah. And on the right, red painting. So then we have lots of drawings, and then these abstract paintings that I really love the most. I mean, I have the biggest problems to explain sometimes why I love this kind of paintings, these kind of paintings so much to others. But when I put some of these paintings in a scan of these as a cover for CD, strict private copy, of course, for some jazz or post-rock or whatever, and then everybody thinks, hey, that's the right illustration for this kind of music, but it works with very different kinds of music. That's the great thing. And I could see this painting here and almost hear the music in my head. And it's really not fine art. It has its smears and it's rough in a way, especially when you think that these paintings here are more than 1 meter high, and this is actually 116 centimeters high and 121 centimeters wide, or 46 square, 48 inches. So not small. And I think the big size of these paintings is something that, and these here are almost 2 meters wide and high. The importance of a certain format is something that was important to Philip Guston. He, in his more realistic phase, he did murals together with that guy, Reuben Kadish. There, this is Philip Guston, and they did this huge mural. So the size of the painting is something that he obviously understood, the importance to get the attention of the audience. You have to think big and paint big. And if you ever have seen a Philip Guston painting in person, you know that these small pictures of his paintings can't do them justice. Especially when we come to his latest phase, and maybe the one that made him famous, and that's when he changed his style again drastically and came back to his maybe roots in comics and cartooning, and these KKK paintings, and very often shoes appear in these paintings. I watched a video that makes the statement that these shoes are very important in his paintings because of the pictures of shoes of the victims in the Nazi concentration camps. You had these piles of shoes there, and everything else is gone, and it's just a monument of the abyss of the Nazi regime. And since Philip Guston actually, or his family, his name was actually Goldstein, they were Jews. So there is obviously some kind of significance in that interpretation, I think. But even more so, he reacts and fights and comments with a lot of irony. These guys in their hoods there, driving around, smoking, and even painting. And I don't think that this is intention. In that video, it almost comes across that this could be some kind of self-portrait by Philip Guston, but I think there is some other level of irony buried somewhere in that painting. And again, these paintings here, this is 2 meters wide, or 78 inches wide. So these are not small sketches, and the roughness and the crude treatment of the paint, the canvas, comes across as a part of the, if you want to have it as a message, yeah, then call it message. But it's not a message or something that you can relate in some sentence or so. It leaves you with some question marks, and that's the strong thing here. And if you combine these KKK hoods or these creatures here, or these shoes that maybe hint back to the concentration camps, and sometimes you have the combination or just the quotation of the old masters that were always of a certain importance for Philip Guston. And here we have this cartooning of Richard Nixon that he did again and again and again here. Just a part of male genitalia meshed into the parody of a human face. That's great. And I think you, by now at least, you at the latest and the least, you can see why a lot of people that are loving modern comics and cartooning and the sensibilities of looking with a certain angle at the world love Philip Guston. Yeah. And here we have the this painting here is maybe really interesting because it combines the monumental and the banal in one painting. And it's not that I have to say or too much about these paintings, but just that I could look at this crude stuff here for hours and hours when I'm in a gallery and or in a museum. When I'm there with my family, it always winds up with, "Papa, come on, we have to go." What do you see in that painting there? And then I try, and then they look, and then they want to leave anyway. But maybe you're a bit like me and you love this kind of stuff. And I want to leave you with some quote by him. "Two artists always fascinate me, Piero della Francesca and Rembrandt." And maybe I will have to talk about Rembrandt in a future video. I am fixed on those two and their insoluble opposition. Piero is the ideal painter. He pursued abstraction, some kind of fantastic, metaphysical, perfect organism. In Rembrandt, the plane of art is removed. It is not a painting, but a real person, a substitute, a golem. He is really the only painter in the world. I mean, I could argue about this one here, but the sentence before is some of the most poignant or on-point remark on Rembrandt, in my humble opinion, that I've read for a long time. So, thanks for listening and watching. Goodbye.